Well, welcome back. We are very happy today to have a special guest and someone who works very closely with her client, which is us, GigaGains. And just so you know, if you do need someone to really help you with social media, you want to call on Nia Bella.
Hello.
Nia is Graphite Media, is the name of her company. And as I said, she takes care of our account. So I asked her today if she would give some explanation so that you, as the prospective person in business who is looking at why do I want to do this social media thing, you know, and you're looking at a guy who doesn't even have a Facebook page. Sorry. But anyway, I don't have this experience. So I called on Nia, and Nia, if you could just take whatever amount of time you think is, necessary to explain to them through me why we need to do social media, how, what, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Well, social media clearly is out there for everyone to use. And you have everybody who's a so-called expert who thinks they know how to do it. And just because they have a Facebook page or an Instagram or a Twitter or a Pinterest, that they know exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to use it to benefit their business. And that's not always the case. You really kind of need to step back and evaluate your entire, social media situation is what we're going to call it. Because primarily the function is your website is what you own. You don't own the social medias that are out there, those outlets for you to use. And so those avenues are going to be used to drive people back and, to your website. So we're going to say that social media is kind of the vehicle that everybody's going to get in and ride back to what you own, which is your website, or if you have a brick and mortar building. So whatever that goal for each person is going to be, you want to sit back and make it. You need to have one. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about today, is developing those goals, understanding what to do and why it's important. And then if it's something that you don't think you can do, then you use a company like mine.
Right.
And we're kind of that missing link between companies. So we're the missing link between a business owner and their social media or their advertising in general. A lot of small business owners get into business to do their business, not to do all the marketing. And marketing is a full-time job. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly difficult, and you've talked about that and touched on that in the series.
Right.
So super important, and understanding that. And so that's what we want to talk about today, is kind of figuring out your role, where you need to be. And so something I want all the viewers to think about is your goals. And I know everybody's first thing is to make money. No. You need to figure out the goals of how you're going to engage your audience. And we talked about this before, with GigaGains. We're not going to do we're going to build an audience and then all of a sudden do the ta-da. This is who we are. We are very upfront with, we want to help people who want to start their own businesses. We want them to have all the tools, all the know-how, all that knowledge up front so that they can be successful in business. And social media is really, really important. Mm-hmm. Knowing how to set up your Facebook page and how to set it up correctly, how to set up Twitter, and to know if it's even going to be good for you. So maybe back up a little. So before you start setting things up, go on and do your research of what's out there, what's going to benefit your business. Because some businesses have no business being on some of these platforms. You're not going to benefit from having 10 accounts out there. And not to mention, how are you going to keep up with all that?
Right.
And if you go to pay a service or a company like mine, that 10 accounts, that's expensive.
Right.
Even for a company like me, who's kind of on the lower end, because we're more about helping small business. And so you really have to be careful about that. So you have to do your research and know what platform you're going to be on. How are you going to market yourself? And then the next step would be, okay, let's put a campaign together, and who are we going after? Why are we going after them? What are we going to share with them? And is it going to appeal to them? So, and it's a constant process. I tell people, please don't get on there and be political, especially right now. There's a lot of that controversy going on. Don't be religious. We've talked about this before. you can show people who you care about and who you believe in by showing them, let them see that. And then, really kind of focus on what's going to benefit your product, your service. So we kind of need to establish all of those things.
Let's do this through GigaGains. GigaGains, as I said, I don't have any experience on any of the social media at all. So GigaGains starts, we decided right up front, and you were gracious enough because of what we're doing to really work with us very financially really well, and I appreciate that. We have a goal. We want, just like you said, we want to help people.
Absolutely.
So we could say, hey, like Nia's provided on GigaGains, buy it through us, 5 or 10 or 15 ads, and we could keep pushing that over and over and over, or the fact that you can get logos or whatever. It doesn't make any difference what the service is, but that's not what you do on social media. Doesn't mean you don't do it at all, and you'll explain that, I'm sure. But if you had to, because they're going to be hearing from us through you, okay?
Absolutely.
So if you could sort of give them an understanding of what you're going to do for us and what you are doing for us, and then when they see it, they'll go like, yeah, they talked about this. Now I get it, now I get it.
Absolutely. Well, first off, they're going to see that, we've developed campaigns, and that's what we call them. You call them campaigns. They're a series of ads or posts that are specially coordinated, that we sat down and we really thought about, what is going to benefit the people who were coming here. So if you see our webinar ad out there, it's a Frenchie dog with a can to his ear. You notice that it's a very colorful ad, but it has no real relevance to starting your own business. It's just something eye-catching, because you need to see things a few times and read about them before you're like, oh, maybe I do want to start my own business. Well, let's see what these guys are all about. But okay, now you've come, you've signed up for the webinar, you've heard our classes, and you're continuing to follow us on Facebook. So you may see ads where it's like our Gigazilla. We came up with a great little character that we believe represents our product and represents GigaGains. We want people to benefit financially, and there's no hidden agenda. And I think that people will see that through our Facebook ads, our Instagram ads, and see that on Pinterest. We're really honest about what we're trying to do. We're not saying, we're not pulling people in and then lifting the curtain and saying, okay, and now it's this much money. Right. And so our ads are very clear cut like that. You'll see that everything's very upfront. We're telling you how you can make $50 an hour or more. We are genuinely showing you how to be financially free. And so a lot of those ads, you'll see a lot of financial freedom, people with relief. You'll see the Giglets, which are our characters that we're still developing, and they're going to be growing with us as we grow GigaGains.
That's Gigazilla's little babies.
That's Gigazilla's little babies.
Toy poodle babies. But
they're very
not
troublesome, very troublesome little guys. But and that's another thing. We talk about that. We're going to talk about the pitfalls that you can fall into when starting your own business, and the mistakes that you can make. And don't get me wrong, we're not perfect. GigaGains isn't perfect. Graphite isn't perfect. Any other business out there, no one's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. But that's the great thing about Giga, is you're going to see us talking about those mistakes and how to own those mistakes, how to correct them, and how to keep people from making them. If we can help you, then that's what we want to do. And so our ad process is actually going to kind of go through that. You're going to see our ads ever changing, as it should. We're not always going to be talking just about, hey, listen to our webinar. We're going to give you tips and tricks on there. We're going to, if we have somebody who comes to us and they start a business, we're going to celebrate that. We're going to celebrate that on GigaGains. Right. We're going to celebrate your celebrations with you, your successes. We're going to celebrate with you. If you have a failure, we're going to talk about that. Not talk about you specifically, but we're going to talk about that.
Just a little selfie of them, right?
Maybe, maybe not. But we want to encourage people to utilize the social media in any way possible to benefit their business. And you have to utilize something, you have to utilize it. You can't just set it up and then walk away from it. Just like with our GigaGains. It's been established for a while. We've been slowly growing an audience, and we're continuing to do so. And yes, we are paying for ads, so you will see us out there as a sponsored ad. But eventually our hope is that we have enough organic growth, people who are finding us through friends, and they're coming to our Facebook page, they're coming to our Instagram, and they're coming to our Pinterest. Because unlike, those are the 3 platforms that we have chosen to utilize for this particular product. But there are tons of platforms out there. So we would want other businesses to, again, review and look at and then pick them. But those are the ones that are working for us. So those are the ones that we're utilizing. And so you're going to watch us grow, you're going to see us move, and you're going to see these campaigns develop. And if you, have questions, concerns, or comments, share, comment, or like. That's what I always say. Right. And we'll go from there. So we're definitely going to keep it interesting. Mm-hmm. You will not be bored. The different articles that will be posted, credit of you or Danny or myself, there will always be some sort of information out there for people to benefit from. And it'll be fresh, it'll be funky.
Funky's good.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
so I just want to say I want you to just talk about one more thing, specifically on this video. They get busy in their day, whether they're running a shop or doesn't matter what they're doing. How do they do all this stuff? That's why we hired you, because we don't have a prayer of doing that. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that's true for everybody. So what would you recommend? You know what I'm asking, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this, again, I'm going to touch on picking the correct platforms to use. You don't have to have multiple platforms. If you can only maintain one, then you go with one.
So you're saying only do Facebook, only do Twitter, only do Instagram, because you can't maintain them all.
No. And if you can, great, tell me how. Because, as a small business owner myself, having been there and done that, I would love to know. Right. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of resources out there now, but you really have to know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And so typically a lot of small business owners right now, they really don't. Like I said before, they want to run a business. But if you're going to do it yourself, then you have to pay attention to what you're doing. You don't want to lose your customers that you currently have, so you still have to do your business. You still have to run your business, but you do need to set time aside to make sure that you're running your social media platform as well, because it needs to be updated. It needs to be engaging. It has to look professional. It has to look like it's not just, somebody throwing a bunch of selfies up there. It's got to be, very well-rounded. You want a good mix in there. And so you have to allot time in your day to do so. Now, like what keeps me in business is because a lot of small businesses don't have that time.
Right.
So they pick up the phone and they call Graphite and they're like, "Hey, Niabella, help me out.
Right.
This is what we need." And so what we do is we kind of alleviate that piece of meat off your plate.
Right.
We take it, not that you didn't want it, we take it from you, and then we start to keep everything fun and fresh and smooth looking, and it flows.
Which is why we asked you to, at least as a starting point for a lot of people, is give them a package of 5 or 10 or 15 professional ads that they can use at a very good price.
Okay.
They're professionally made. It's just, you don't get one for that from most companies. And so let me bring this to a close, if you don't mind, because we could talk all day.
Yes.
Let me just talk to the audience and say to you that if you're realistic and you have the time, because you're working a lot of time from home and your baby's sleeping and you can't quite go out and do something, but you have time to do what's necessary for the social media, then that's great. But if you don't, then you need to talk directly with Nia or one of her people, and they'll help you to either come up with the ideas or work with you. But it is, you said one thing that you just said, which I don't think people necessarily always understand, is you have to have professional ads. They don't have to be fancy schmancy, but they have to be, like you said, it can't be a selfie of you all the time doing this and that. You need to be, if you're a real company, you need to be professional. And I know you'll be able to help people do that. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We talk on the webinars, and now you guys get to know who Nia is. Bless you and thank you for that.